Hello. In this quick start video, we will be creating a 4-axis program using the ruled surface machining function. Before we get to machining, the first thing we need to do is create profile figures from the geometry we have here. A good habit to get into is to manually create these profile figures and to rename them. So my first figure here will be the inside shape. The inside shape for this example will be my upper. So I will go ahead and name it upper. And then here I will also be manually selecting the lead on position. For the two profile figures in a ruled surface program, you usually want the same start hole location so that when you start to thread, this will thread straight. And then you want a similar lead on position so that they will lead on to a similar location before they start to cut. This way it will help your nozzles, your upper and lower shapes, synchronize throughout your cut. So I'll go ahead and select lines and arcs here as well. And then I will also create the lower figure. I'll rename it lower, selecting the same start hole location, and then selecting a lead on position very similar to my upper figure, but on the geometry of the lower figure. And then once again, selecting my lines and arcs, and then in command. And I am done. So as you can see here, you do not necessarily need the profile figures to be on the actual height of the block. Okay, so both of my figures here are on Z0. Okay, so now we can go and create our machining. I'll go to machining and ruled surface. So here I'll go ahead and create a quick billet from my lines and arcs, selecting lines and arcs. So for this part, this will be 2 inches high. Okay. And then make sure that I go to my output file, make sure my file name's correct, make sure that all of my numbers here, position, reference position, and from position are correct. As you can see here, a secondary plane, 2 inches carried over from when I created my billet. And then I'll also go to select my technology, make sure that my material and my wire size is correct. And then from there, I can click OK. So now this takes us to the ruled surface machining dialog. So this dialog is slightly different from the standard profile dialog and the collar dialog that we have seen in the past because you have to select an upper and a lower figure. Okay, so I'll go ahead and select my upper. Once again, renaming it makes it a lot easier to remember which one is the upper and which one is the lower. I'll go ahead and select my lower. And then there are two numbers here that are very, very important in order to hold the proper taper on your ruled surface machining function. The first one is the height of the lower figure. So this is where your lower figure height is sitting or where you extracted this from. Okay, in our case here, this will be 0. Our next number is our overall height. This overall height is not necessarily the full thickness of your block. This is just the difference between your upper and your lower figures. Okay, so if you used one of the geometry extraction methods like sectioning or something, your geometry for the figures might not be at the very top, very bottom of your block. So in that case, it will only be the difference between the upper and the lower. Here, this will be 2 inches, however. Okay. And then the rest of your machining is exactly the same as before. So we'll go and select our technology. For this one, once again, I will go to both the way. I'll scroll down just a little bit with high precision. And then I will also go with, let's scroll down just a little bit more with 4 passes. I'm going to tell it to load technology. I'll go to my setup. Reverse cutting is turned on. My tagging. So here you have to be careful with your tagging. Your lead off distance here, you don't want this to be too big. Okay, like I mentioned before in the taper video, you want to make sure that this clears your upper and lower shapes so that it does not straighten out the wire and cut back into your part. So for this one right here, I'll keep this blank. That way it will use the same distance as my lead on and basically just lead off back to my start hole location. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and click OK and then OK again. Okay, so there you have it. We have our 4-axis or ruled surface machining function.